your higher self wanted me to deliver this message to you today. I know that you feel that the weight of the world is crashing down on you. We have been feeling very overwhelmed and overstimulated, and you are the type of person who is very intelligent and wise and loves making forward momentum. You're very determined. If you say that you're going to do something, you're going to do it. And that is such an incredible blessing. At the same time, we can really tend to overfill our plate because we know that if we keep on making forward movement, there is success in that. There is a snowball effect. So we will push and push and push and push and push ourselves into the grindstone. And then we have these periods of massive burnouts. And it might be a business, a creative project, whatever it is that you're currently working on, you really love it. Like deep down into the depths of your soul. However, we can sometimes get very one-track minded and not really be investing the same time and energy into ourselves as the things that we are working on, bringing into reality. And that is ultimately what leads to these burnout phases. And then us needing to go through recovery, which looks like us not doing much of anything because our body needs rest. Your body's like, please, I need to lay down. I have been running on fumes. And I want to explain why this process is happening right now. When you decide, I'm going to be a different person, because that is an option that is available to us in any moment. It does not matter how long that you have been adhering to certain behavioral patterns or triggers or patterns of thought. At any second, at any time of the day, no matter when and where, you can say, I'm not that person anymore. Yeah, I have all this like quote unquote baggage back here and trauma and everything. But you know what? I can clean slate and just decide who I'm going to be now and take on a whole new persona, personality traits, characteristics, thought patterns. We love that. Reinvention of self. What happens is you and your conscientious mind, your higher self, your soul say, yes, that sounds great. And then your central nervous system and your subconscious and your psyche and your ego say, oh, no, no, no. They say, what are you doing? We've never been that person before. That sounds kind of scary. How are we going to live our life and show up in our relationships? There's all these changes that are going to happen. And we know instinctively that the changes are going to be good. But changes are always scary. It doesn't matter if it's positive or negative. It's something that is an unknown potentiality. There are a lot of variables involved, especially if you had a very chaotic childhood. The last thing that you want to do is change a lot of things at once, because that's something that you have already experienced when you were younger. And now that we are an adult, our body is trying to keep us in similar patternings because it was really scary back then. We never knew what was going to happen, what was going on. It was like we were walking on eggshells. Well, what would be the greatest disservice but to do that to self? It is your body trying to keep you safe from you. But you're like, hey, I'm not my parents. I am not my caretakers. I am not my guardians. I have cleared out a lot of ancestral. Ooh, did you see that? Fairy. I have cleared out a lot of ancestral and generational trauma. I am not a regurgitation of what they have done to me. I'm not going to do that to me. It's one thing to say that, and it's another how your body is interpreting it. Because from an evolutionary standpoint, our actual physical body and mental body, our brain, is not necessarily on the same evolutionary track as your soul or your spirit. And it's the long game that we're playing with it to kind of get them in more congruence with one another and build a relationship between them so that it trusts our soul and our spirit to lead the way. So when we are saying, I want to be a new person, that's a instantaneous decision that we are making. Things got to catch up. And that looks like your body going in freak out mode. It is literally going to war with you and saying, actually, I'm going to do everything that I can to keep us where we're at. And that looks like making you tired and exhausted. It looks like it throwing up so many limiting beliefs, like way more than you were experiencing previously. It's old memories coming up of things that you haven't thought of in forever. It is, excuse me, it is trying to derail you out of love, though. This is often when we are having these negative thought patterns towards our ego, like, you suck, why are you doing this to me? I'm trying to get us somewhere better and you are making it difficult. And if we can shift the perspective where we understand that it is a safety trauma response and that it is protecting us, that takes off some of the pressure that we are putting on our ego. Because nothing is going to create forward movement from a place of fear and lack and anxiety or self-hatred, because even though that is it's a part of us, it's subconscious, ego, spirit, soul, there's all these different facets, it's still a part of you. And anytime that we want to make effective changes, we have to pour more love into ourselves. And when you are going through these quantum shifts and all of this is happening, it's very easy to start feeling very shameful and guilty because you know how smart you are. You know how motivated you are. And so some of the self-talk that might be happening right now is, why can't you just figure this out? There are so many people around us that are experiencing wild success in their lives. And if you were just smarter, you could be this person too. If you took more action, if you stop these behavioral patterns, it could go on and on and on. Okay, I'm sure you're thinking of whatever thoughts those are right now that keep on coming up. What that does is it depletes your energy even more, because now we are sad and we are hating ourselves. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being sad. That's a normal human emotion, and it's one that everybody feels at certain times in their lives. But there is a difference in staying in that place and seeping in it and not being able to get yourself up out of it. What I like to do is, when I am feeling very overstimulated, one, we need to be exercising more. What is happening through this process is it is dumping so much cortisol and adrenaline into your body because of the fight, flight, freeze, and fawn, the central nervous system responses that you're experiencing right now from that self-talk and from being in a place of stuckness or perceived stuckness. And when you are not, excuse me, oh my gosh, throat chakra healing. When you are not clearing those hormones out of your body, it turns into negativity because it's too much, let's call it electricity in your body. And if you're utilizing that in a positive way, it can be a lot of fuel. But because we're already kind of going down this negative momentum track, it's making it worse. It's making the fear more intense. It's making the catastrophizing and the negative what ifs. You have to get those bodily chemicals out of your body, those chemical reactions. I'm not saying that we need to go to the gym and pump iron for an hour and a half, Look at all these little orbs floating around here. We need to go on some walks out in nature. That's so incredibly grounding, being out there with Mother Gaia, and that really helps you get outside of yourself. There's so many beautiful things to look at outside. That's a great way to get in your body and not in this kind of disassociative state over here where we are trying to run away from who we are. And so we're very detached from what is happening, and we're self-sabotaging and staying in these cycles. Go outside and speak to your nature friends, the little squirrels that are running around. Speak to the trees. Speak to the lake that you're walking around, or the bushes. Immerse yourself. It is okay to detach from whatever is going on in your life for 30 minutes or an hour. What I like to do sometimes is say, I don't know that person that you're talking about. I don't have a house to take care of. I don't have dogs and a son and a business and chores and all those things. I'm just a soul walking around on the earth, enjoying this lovely walk here right now. And every time the thoughts keep on popping up, I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. Who? And that allows me to ground into the experience even more. And it is also okay to stop putting so much input into your ears. That is a reminder that I have to give myself, because when we are very frantic, we are searching for answers, whether that is watching manifestation videos or listening to affirmations, just trying to figure out what the next steps are. And that can be really beneficial to help you get unstuck, is to put new information in. But that's not what we're doing here, what I'm talking about. This is, I gotta find the answer, I gotta find the key, and somebody else has it. Actually, they don't. You are in a spot right now where you are the only person that has the answers for you. But we can't hear our own truths and what that is from our higher self, because we are reaching for that outside of us externally, when nobody is on the same path as you. Like, yes, there are wonderful mentors out there that can support us that are on similar paths, but when we're in this specific place that I'm talking about right now, there has got to be some type of energetic shift that you experience within that only you have the answer for, and that is going to be vastly different than what other people have as the answer, because that's what you're meant to be creating in the world, is something that looks completely different. But when you are putting so much input in comparison to what other people are doing and saying like, oh, maybe this is the answer, this is the key, I could just do it like them, we're getting way off track, and it is creating more stuckness and more anxiety and more fear. And then the comparison game is also happening. Well, I'm doing just as much as this other person over here, why am I not experiencing their success level? Because you're not supposed to be doing what they're doing. maybe it looks similar, like y'all are on the same wavelength, but your truths and values and beliefs are getting muddled up too much, and you cannot see with clarity. You're not getting a true reflection of your soul and how to share that into the world. There's too many layers of other on what you're doing. And so, to come back to what I was saying before, maybe we need some quiet. Maybe we need to turn the input off. And sometimes that's even music. And music can be very healing, and it can be very meditative, but then sometimes we're using it as a distracting tool to not work through the jarring emotions and feelings that we're experiencing within. And you're gonna have to work through those eventually. The quicker you decide to work through those, the more clarity you're gonna have. Because those jarring emotions and feelings are what is creating the central nervous agitation in the first place. And then we get the hormones and the cortisol dumps within us that zap all our dopamine and serotonin, and it's just over and over again like this, the cycle. And so we need to have some quiet time in nature. We need to tell our higher self, hey, I want to come back home to me, what I signed up to do here, through a way that only I can share what I have to offer in the world. And I'm going to take some time to sit with these emotions and these feelings. I know they don't feel good. I know it feels very disconcerting. It's very intense. I feel like a failure. I am experiencing so much shame and guilt. I feel like shit. Okay? Oftentimes when we are trying to run away from those things, it creates more resistance and just more of those feelings. And they're like, hey, I really need to talk. That is what they're saying to you. And feelings are just feelings. It doesn't mean anything about you. Just because you're feeling something doesn't mean that you're a bad person or you're a failure. You just feel how you feel. There's nothing wrong with that. There's literally nothing you can do from helping certain emotions come up. Anger, sadness, frustration, self-hatred. It just is what it is. Now, can you transmute and alchemize those? Absolutely. Through love. What we want to say to our emotions and feelings is, I love you. Thank you so much for being open and honest with me and trusting to tell me these things, because I would assume as a child, your emotions and feelings were probably poo-pooed on. Get it together. What do you have to be sad about? Why are you so sensitive? So you have already had a suppression of these for so long. Don't be the person to do that to them too. That is a regurgitation of generational ancestral trauma. We can have a completely new experience with them by saying, thank you. I love you. I'm glad that you're here. I'm going to hold your hand while we process these together. I know that this is not my permanent state of being. These are things that are flowing through me. I am channeling them. They are alert systems. They're letting me know that something is off in my life. Something is not in alignment. Thank you. Oh my gosh. If you were not here, I would not be on my most optimal path. So that is the relationship that we need to start building with them. And you are going to have to feel them in your body. There's so many of us that are over analyzing our emotions. We're intellectualizing them. We're thinking about them. And that's why you're not feeling them. That's why they're still there and you're stuck. We are coming in and saying, well, I shouldn't be feeling this because yada, yada, yada. Or, oh, it's not a big deal. I'll just do this and I'll just do that. That's bypassing. That's not holding space for them. That's doing the same thing to them that your parents did to you, or society, or whomever. You have got to feel the discomfort. There are blocked, I don't even like to say that word, clogged. There are clogged channel lines in your system, whether that's your meridian lines, your subconscious, your chakras. All of those unprocessed emotions are crystallizing and hardening in your body, and that's why you feel crunchy. That's why you feel tired and unmotivated and not being able to see with clarity. I don't mean through your physical eyes, but see what's going on in your life and how to create the changes that you need to, or that you can. It's because of the unprocessed emotions that we have going in our system. So we need to go on some walks, get the hormones out, spend time feeling your emotions. It's not going to feel good while you're doing it. It's just not. But if you can separate yourself from them a little bit, not from a place of bypassing, but hey, sadness, what you got going on today? Tell me what's happening. I'm here for you. I'm going to give you a big old hug. I love you so much. Fear, what's going on today? Anger, frustration, self-hatred. Tell me what's happening. Let's do a friend-to-friend conversation. You know what? Where would make you feel really good to go talk about things? In my mind, you can go anywhere. Use your imagination. Do you want to go to a coffee shop? Do you want to go to the park? Do you want to go sit by the ocean? Create sacred space to process it with them. And when you're doing that, and now we're talking to them over here, this is you, we're starting to realize, oh, this is just a part of me. This is not the totality of who I am. I'm not going to be experiencing this forever. Now we can look at things a little bit more objectively instead of being so emotionally reactive, and we can come in and give advisement so that when you do snap back into yourself right now in the current, you will be able to have clarity of mind, and you'll have the steps because now you shifted into a completely different state of being. But you've got to have that relationship with your emotions. That is what is going to help you create forward movement. And speaking love into yourself when you are experiencing these heartaches of stuckness, and saying, girl, you're doing such a good job. I love you. You're so wise and intelligent and brave and courageous and strong. I want you to speak these things to the younger version of yourself, because that is who's freaking out. You have already shifted into the new timeline. You are already the next higher self. And then you'll have a new higher self that's watching over you, okay? But you were here. You said, I'm going to be a different person. Clink. New higher self version. Well, now there's a younger version of you over here that you just shifted away from. She is trying to keep you in the old timeline because she wants you to be safe. She doesn't want change, because that is something that happened to you when you were a child, and it was very scary. And she said, I've seen this before. I don't want us to go through this again. I'm going to protect you, higher self. That's you now. You need to say, girl, I don't need you to do that. That's what I'm for. I can see things that you cannot. I am going to hold your hand while we shift into this new life, and I'm going to help you feel safe and secure and loved, but we are going to shift. I need you to listen to my advice. and this is also represented by your emotions over here as well, your old emotions and behavioral patterns and triggers. So just like your higher self over here has been helping you to become the new person, you need to help her over here. You need to say, you're so wise, you're so intelligent, you're brilliant, you're so funny, you're so witty, we have the best ideas, we are creatively inspired, everything that we do always works out, even if it's not how we thought it was supposed to. It eventually works itself out. We are an open channel to receive information from our next higher self and our inner children. We're so good at creating forward movements. We love ourselves deeply, and she's going to give you some pushback. She's going to say, actually, this is how I'm feeling about myself. And what we need to tell her is, that's okay. Sure. I felt that way too when I was you. Okay. I have experienced all of this before, and I'm going to hold space for that. But I'm also going to hype you up. I'm going to be your biggest cheerleader. I'm going to keep you on track. When you are really struggling to find a place of self-love, I'm going to be that person to speak those things over you. And this is when people talk about speaking affirmations, oftentimes it's not really sinking in because you're not feeling that way in the moment. You're like, actually, I don't feel this way about myself, and it's actually hurting my soul to say these things to me because I know they're not true. This is where this process comes in. Oh, that's actually a younger version of me. I've already shifted. I'm already in the new timeline. We're already in the new life. Even if it doesn't look like that externally right now, I know that's because that's a byproduct of my old thoughts and behavioral patterns. But I'm already there. That is something that you need to claim within your soul. I do not care what is going on in the external. I've already made the shift, and that's why this is happening in the first place. This whole kerfuffle that we're experiencing would not be happening if I wasn't already on the other side of the timeline. My responsibility right now is to help her and my inner children, the ones that are healing from those traumatic things that happened in the past, and helping them rewire their subconscious, help them heal their chakras and their mindset and their words that they're speaking, and doing some neuro-linguistic reprogramming and helping them with their self-concept, you need to separate yourself a little bit and say, actually, I am the new higher self in the timeline. I'm so excited to have y'all over here with me. I can see with the vision in my imagination where we are already at, what we are already experiencing in reality, because I create that with my mind. I do not care what's going on out here. That's not even real. This is all a projection of my mind. It is going to catch up because I'm staying strong and steady in my convictions of the reality that I am choosing to be in. Now, your responsibility is to stay that steady rock for them. I don't need y'all to worry about that. I got it handled. I'm going to speak love and affection over you and my ego and my subconscious and everybody that's freaking out right now. It's okay. Tell me why you're upset. Okay, tell me all the things. You can curse as loud as you want to in here and say all the nasty things about ourselves. Like, cool. After you get done with that, though, we're going to do a whole exercise of self-love with one another. And I'm going to tell you, it doesn't matter what's going on out here, I got it. Because you do. This has happened so many times, over and over and over again, but we forget. We forget that we are going through that process. And so that's why your higher self wanted me to share this with you today, to remind you, hey girl, actually this has happened like 97 times. And the more conscientiously aware that you are of it, the easier it is to traverse. When this first started happening to me, where I was actively quantum shifting, it was a bit more of a challenge because I kept on slipping back into the younger version of me. I wasn't able to fully clink over to the new higher self because I just didn't have as much awareness of what was happening with my ego and my central nervous system and my childhood trauma and things of that nature. But now, when I am experiencing a lot of self-limiting beliefs all of a sudden and a bunch of memories coming up and just self-hate talk and feeling very tired and overwhelmed, I know what's happening. We are already in the new timeline. I've already jumped, and now it is my responsibility and role to get the sweet angel babies within on board and keep them motivated until the things in our external start changing. But you cannot base success and achievements and your self-worth on external circumstances, because that is a hamster wheel that you will forever be on. And that is exhausting. And there comes with so much strife and shame and guilt with that, because you're not allowing yourself to love yourself until you see external results. And that is a way that reality was functioning in the past, especially for us that have a lot of masculine energy. It's like, oh no, I take a lot of action steps in my external and then I get a lot of success and results in return. That's not the age that we're living in, though. It's reversed now. It's, oh, I create a lot of internal changes and then I see the external. It's more of a faith-based process. And I don't mean like in a religious context necessarily, but a faith in self of, oh, actually, I'm creating this. It's not external, then internal. It's I shift and then the things outside shift. There's much more power in that. There's much more creative potentiality, because as you go through the self-healing journey, the spiritual awakening journey, and you're clearing all of these things out in your field, and you really learn how to work with your imagination and your source energy, your life force energy within, what you are going to be capable of is eons beyond what you would have been able to do with just masculine external energy. But that is a completely new process that everybody is going through. And that can feel very scary because you are a leader in that consciousness forefront. You are one of the ones that is going through that process right now because you're eventually going to teach that to others. But that can be a little intimidating because everybody, or not everybody, but there's still a lot of people that are running on the old collective schematics. And so you're doing something that's a lot different than most people. And so there's not a whole lot of examples because, and the masculine way of doing things, and I don't mean male or female. Okay. This is just more so energetic types, but the masculine ways of doing things is external. So it's easy to see examples of that out in the world. But when you're talking about this feminine energy of creation, that is a very individualized experience and it's internal. So you're not really seeing the processes with other people. It's something that they're doing within. So how would you see that? What I would suggest is to find creators. And creators is relative to whatever you think a creator is. A content creator, a business owner, you know, whatever they have going on in their realms, who exudes feminine energy. Not female characteristics necessarily, who really listens to her intuition, who is about creativity and being in flow, and listen to them to embody their energetics, to take on their personality traits and their characteristics and the way that they're articulating and communicating. If you are listening to more feminine energy based people, whether they're male or female, it is going to help you shift into that new age, and it's going to help you create things way beyond what you think that you were capable of. It is going to be a much better system. And this is not saying that the masculine energy is bad, but we have been too masculine, hyper masculine, too external, and that works, but it doesn't really get into quantum collapsing time, because that's a very linear plane of creation, and it's a whole different system. It's a system that works, but it takes a lot longer to do things. And so your higher self is working on getting you on track with a new way of doing things. And with that comes along being very, very in tune with your energy. And what does that mean? Noticing when you have too much cortisol and adrenaline in your system. Noticing when you need rest and to relax. Not pushing yourself so hard. This is about alignment, not necessarily action, 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 action. Because that's where we get into things taking a lot of time. Or we can focus on processing our emotions and our feelings. Finding some people that embody the feminine energy so you feel safe to do these things. Because we've always been told by capitalism and, you know, all these wonky things going on in the world, like, you gotta grind, you gotta hustle. If you're not working 24/7, you're not gonna be successful. that is a behavioral mechanism that you are currently exiting out of your system, but it can be one that's deeply ingrained. And so listening to other people that are doing these new ways of doing things that may be a little bit further ahead than you, that's saying it's great to process your emotions, it's great to process your feelings. Girl, sit in the bed and cry. Hey, we got to rest. We have to recalibrate. We have to, or not have to, but it's beneficial to ask yourself, why am I doing these things? What is making me very unique and special? And what medicine do only I have to offer the world? And what messages do I have to offer the world that are very unique to me? It is an internal experience that we are shifting to. And then the payoffs are going to be immense. These are forever long lasting, because you are changing who you are at a quantum cellular level. Whereas the masculine energy is more about kind of like physical body, mental body, mindset, and all these things. Over here, we got our feelings and our emotions. But we've always been told, you know, don't be vulnerable, don't cry, don't be sensitive. It's ancestral and generational trauma, and also societal and religion, culture, you know, we're just moving to a new system. So you have to give yourself permission to be that way. That's where a little bit of the freak out is coming from, our past versions and our inner children of, what are we doing? This is not what we have done in the past, or what our parents and teachers and society programmed us with and told us that we need to do. What if I'm doing something wrong? That's a big thing that we need to have a conversation with our younger versions too, of you're not doing anything wrong. You're not doing anything wrong. You're actually very smart and intelligent and wise. Maybe we need a break. Okay? We need to focus on ourselves and invest some more time, energy, and love and beautiful affirmations and getting out in nature and doing things that spark joy and bringing new knowledge in. It doesn't always have to be grind, because it's not working anymore. It worked in the past. It's not working anymore. And we don't want it to. Ew. Exhausting. Gross. Like, I'm all about diligence. Like, I love being a self-motivated galley, but what I don't like doing is putting myself through the grindstone and then experiencing burnout and doing that over and over and over and over again. I want to experience a life of ease and grace and things being fun and enjoyable and me feeling passionate about it and divine alignment and things just working out. That runs on the feminine. That runs on energetic alignment within and feeling our feelings and our emotions and getting all of those hormones out of our body, and then still taking action with that masculine energy. But feminine energy is what bursts things into existence. So that's where we're working on starting from, instead of starting from the masculine. So to recap, we need to get some more exercise in, and whatever that means to you. It could be dance classes, going on walks outside. If you got a treadmill in your house, like, that needs to really be at the forefront, because you've got too much of a frizzly frazzly system right now, and that's not going to lend itself to clarity and movement. We need to take a break from having so much input coming in so that we can find our own truths and beliefs of how we're supposed to be doing things, not comparing ourselves to what they got going on, and again, those external achievements, and wrapping our success and worthiness up in those. I am successful because I exist. I birthed myself into existence. What is a better success than that? That is the ultimate. I wouldn't be able to do anything if I didn't do that. So I've already done the most successful thing that I can. Anything else is just a cherry on top, or the sprinkles on top. If you don't like cherries. And take some rest. You get to live in whatever reality that you want to live in. You are always going to be a motivated person. You are always going to be a motivated person. That's just the core template that you run on. Why don't you make rest a part of being motivated? I am so excited to rest because that's so much forward movement. Like, we need to reframe it in that way. But we need to do some things that are fun, that give us energy, instead of hyper fixating on what is not working in life, because that's just going to beget more of things not working. And then speaking love to your inner children and the past version that you just shifted away from, and telling her, like, I'm already over here, girl. We don't need to stress and get anxious about that. I'm already over here. I can see where we're headed. I got the plan. I love you. You're safe. You're beautiful. You're kind. You're courageous. You're smart, intelligent, wise. We always come up with great ideas. Those are the things that we need to be speaking to them, because that is what is going to get you unstuck. Love, self-love, love. Okay. Remember to give a like, and hit the bell notification, and leave a comment of what your biggest takeaway is today. I would love to hear. You can also get my free guided meditation in my bio or in the comments, and it's going to help you activate new spiritual gifts in your Akashic field, and you can utilize those gifts as you are working on these processes here. Okay, and have these things awaken within. That can be really exciting and get you feeling unstuck, because you can feel these energetic shifts happening. So even if you're not necessarily seeing it external right now, because we talked about that beforehand, it's something that you can still feel inside of. Things are moving, things are shaking, changes are coming, and that the meditation will help give you those feelings and your inner children and that younger self. It's a great motivator of, we got this. Okay, I love you so much. I hope you have the most magical day. Sending you a big fairy hug, and I will talk to you next time.